It is ours, and I am willing to really go and have a proper debate about this with them.
It's a smear campaign for Daemon.
You can expect what you like.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to our House of the Dragon Season 2 roundtable. I'm talking to Team Black and Team Green about who is truly worthy to sit on the Iron Throne. First up, Team Black.
Yes.
Thanks for chatting with me, guys.
Hello.
I really appreciate it. So, Emma, I'm going to start with you. At the end of Season 1, Rhaenyra had a real fiery look in her eyes about the death of Luke. When we join in Season 2, is it more anger or sorrow? What's going on for Rhaenyra?
When we meet her in Series 2, I think she is like sort of rigid with grief. I think grief is like a big motor in the show this season. And I actually think that she sort of, there's like a paralysis maybe at the top of the series. I think she's like very dislocated from the family, from her colleagues, from her allies. I find it quite moving. I think there's like, grief can sort of like make you a bit of an island. And I think that's what we sort of see here. And there's like a journey back to her like immediate family, to her household that has to take place in order to like engage with like the bigger battle of the series.
That event is the catalyst for everyone's behaviour in the first couple of episodes, and Daemon's behaviour is arguably, at the best of times, questionable, but I think in this instance is particularly questionable. You'll know what I mean once you've seen the episode.
How does Alicent feel about what happened to Luke at the end of last season?
I think she feels like catatonic about what happened to Luke. You know, she has a great love, even though it's been sort of cauterized for Rhaenyra, and her own son was responsible for his death, and she knows that the events that follow this will be so destructive within the realm. And so I think she feels a bit of a loss, and she's sort of desperate and scrambling in order to you know, get in front of Rhaenyra and to, you know, I think she feels if she can just get in front of Rhaenyra, she'll be able to say, this is what happened, and it was a mistake, and I'm so sorry, but also bear in mind my son's just been put on the throne. Just saying, you know.
Right, yeah. Well, it's too bad you guys can't just text or something.
His
right?
ravens take a while, I've heard.
Is there still room in Rhaenyra's heart for Alicent after what has happened?
I think they are sort of fundamentally attached. I think they have an attachment, as sort of siblings do. Even if sort of love and warmer feelings are hard to identify. I don't know, I think there's like, I wonder if Alicent's become quite like two-dimensional in Rhaenyra's mind. I think there's probably a lot of imagined conversations that take place. I think it's actually Rhaenys who counsels like her to seek a sort of more three-dimensional picture, maybe, to re-engage her empathy.
Just talk to your sister.
Yeah.
It's easy to demonize someone when you reduce them to 2 dimensions, right?
Right. I mean, I assume that she's doing the same to me.
Right, yeah.
So, you know.
I think Rhaenyra is sort of like a phantom to Alicent at this point. They're so geographically far away from each other, and also their relationship has been estranged for such a long time that she is. I mean, I think she's become almost more powerful because they barely see each other. She's this thing in Alicent's mind that Alicent has given so much weight to.
Yeah, she still loves her though.
I think somewhere subterranean.
First episode, you have this, very sort of paralysed person, stricken person, who I think by the end of the episode kind of allows like rage or like something hateful to take control of her voice. And I feel like it's interesting because I kind of think it's almost brings, I think it's like an admission to, I mean, it will make sense when people have seen the episode, but like, I think she also admits like a deep likeness, right? Like broadly, historically, she has moderated that fire that sits inside her. But she sort of couples with him at the top of the series and goes like, I'm of you, and like I have like a vengeful feeling, I have like a hateful feeling. And I feel like that's maybe the first time we've seen that from her.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very nearly the sort of.
I really support it, for, just for the record.
Yeah.
This idea of vengeance, I'm keen on it.
How does the death affect everyone else?
He was our dear, beloved grandson.
And despite all of the controversy about his parentage, we were like, no, he is our blood. He was beloved. So I think certainly for Corlys, when you meet him, he is also not only riven with grief for his grandson, but still trying to come to terms with the fact that he's lost his daughter and his son and his brother. So as Emma has said, I think grief is very much an engine.
How does Aemond feel about what happened to Luke?
How does he feel about it? It was an accident. It wasn't his fault. Wasn't my fault, I swear.
The first strike wasn't ours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah. Although it seemed like that what happened to Luke was an accident also. Right?
Whoa, playing your cards very loud and free on you. I don't think that's the dominant narrative at all, but you just showed your hand very clearly, and I...
Bring in Team Green.
Wolf, man.
I don't know...
No, I just mean to say that...
I feel less comfortable now.
I mean, Aemond was the only kid in the family who didn't receive a dragon egg from the family, and so he was different, and he was bullied for being different. Those two characters' history, that shared history that they have, it finally comes to an accumulation in the skies above Storm's End. All of that hatred that was allowed to fester, what could have been resolved with simple words of apology, was allowed to breed, and it was a problem that was pushed aside, and similar to when you push aside a problem, it often exacerbates it a little bit, and over time it grows and grows and grows, and nature takes its course, and what you see in episode 10 is nature taking its course.
All hail his grace, Aegon, second of his name, king of the Andals and the Rhaenyra and the First Men, lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and protector of the realm. Aegon the King!
Olivia and Tom, how does the legacy of Viserys loom over you guys this season?
I mean, during Viserys' rule, it was calm. It was a really calm period in the history. And so as soon as Aegon sits his bum on the Iron Throne, everything descends into chaos. So I think she can't help but put a mirror up to his rule and compare it to Viserys. And also, like, herself, when she was sort of like ruling in the shadows when Viserys was ailing in bed and wasn't coherent. And so, yeah, I think that's something that is just, it's in the shadows, always.
I agree. It's undeniable that there is a big gaping void where Viserys has departed and nothing really has filled that. And from Aegon's perspective, Viserys was the only example of a ruler that he's had, and he saw how much he was loved and how much authority he had and didn't wear it badly. And I think somewhere in Aegon he realises he is not his father. And the complication for him is he wants to be loved and feared at the same time, and those two just cannot coexist. So there's a constant battle there where he's one-upping himself constantly, which just turns into a spiral, a downward spiral of just like lives in chaos.
It's interesting what you said also about Alicent sort of ruling in the shadows, but so much of the show is about the idea of whether or not a woman can have the chance to sit on the Iron Throne, right? I mean, that's a lot of what Rhaenyra's story is, and Eve as well, her character.
Yeah, but I think for Alicent, she could never imagine herself in a position of rule. You know, she was sort of duty bound, but I think she loved it. But I think the morbid humour of it all is that the realm would be in a much better position if Rhaenyra was on the throne. You know, these men rule with just like hormones and instinct, and it's like there's no patience, and it's all about legacy and making sure that their names are in the annals of history, and it's not about what's actually happening and taking more of a, you know, a macro view of the state of the realm.
Tom, when we first see Aegon this season, he doesn't seem super concerned about like the civil war that's brewing, basically. What is his mindset when we first meet him?
Honestly, I think he sees it as a bit of a game, and a game that he's now got the remote control in his hands for. He's been sort of watching other people play the game, and now he gets to press the buttons. Right. So he's enjoying it. I don't think the full reality of nuclear war has fully sort of come into his vision yet. But it's like having a new toy. He's just excited about it for now. It's the first time we see Aegon with purpose. He's never had a purpose before. Yeah. So this is the sort of the birth of this.
He wasn't bred to be heir.
No.
He was sort of, he was the spare.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, less than, really. Yeah. So yeah, he's felt invisible his entire life, and suddenly now he's got a crown on his head. So that is dangerous.
Yeah. What is Helena's state of mind when we meet up with her this season?
I think it's deeply uncomfortable for Helaena that she's been put in this position of now being queen. She's essentially the queen. I think that she doesn't feel that she fits literally and metaphorically in the clothes of that royal position anyway, and she was already uncomfortable before Aegon's coronation. But I think that everything's just heightened. The noise has got louder, the gap between who she is and who she's expected to be, all of that stuff, just really uncomfortable. And all along, you know, she has these intuitions and these instincts and these feelings that are bad feelings. I think it's hard for her sometimes to distinguish between that and just like the general hum of anxiety of her life. And that also isn't helped by the fact that she's just like continually dismissed by her family.
Does she have powers? Can she sense things or see things that others can't?
Yeah, I like to kind of think of it as like a heightened intuition.
Okay.
Which I also like to think that we all have.
You have.
You have
more than anyone I've ever
in
met.
real life. You mean?
No,
she's a mind reader.
Like literally can. You think it, she's thinking it. She knows what it is. It's crazy.
Like what? Give me an example.
Anything.
Anything.
You can't have a thought in the morning and she'll be like, "Oh, you didn't sleep well." You're like,
You don't shut up about it.
Do you accept me as your queen and ruler?
How does your character become more integral to Team Black's plans against Team Green this season?
Yeah, I think what we see at the top of the season is that all the kids have to grow up so much quicker than they're supposed to. Immediately, it's not about them anymore, and all the things that they would usually do and like have a childhood in Westeros goes away immediately. And they've lost such an integral part of their like little team that they had, and we like to think that they had like the way they exist at court and then the way they exist like when they're just outside in their garden, like as kids. And I think we found this season that there's so much less of that. Now it's all about the war. They're having to like really choose these moments where they can just like exist with each other and confide in each other. And I think Baela becomes somebody that has to really step up and be loyal to the family, and she really wants to like work for them and prove her place in the family that kind of feels really disjointed. And she spends a lot of her time with Jace and tries to kind of look out for him all the time.
I always say we're the healthiest relationship in Westeros.
You're not.
Well, are you though?
Sorry.
Because
You're not.
Oh, so
maybe you're contenders.
So sweet.
But I was just going to ask
Such
you-
innocence. Bless.
I was going to just ask you guys about your relationship, as it seems to me that you have the
Well, obviously
key
we
to-
have the healthiest.
What is the secret to that success?
Yeah, I feel like season one we were definitely the kind of diamond ballpark for healthy relationships never before seen in a Game of Thrones or House of Dragon series. But now cracks are beginning to show with us too. So,
I think so, and I think part of that is Corlys' earlier misdemeanors have to be dealt with. the only time that Corlys is completely comfortable and honest. He's either at sea or he's with his wife alone. And there is a possibility for him that this may be in jeopardy. And I think for the first time he is thinking, I've got to try and somehow preserve this.
I understand we have a new king.
A stranger casts a long shadow over this family. Your brother is also dead.
Matt, what does Larys ultimately want? Does he even care about Team Green or Team Black? Who comes out on top?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he's one of like the OG members of Team Green, really, wasn't he? He was Team Green before it was Team Green. Yeah, I do. I think he thinks that's the side that ultimately the realm would accept. I think that's the one that has the best chance of victory. So yeah, I think he's very, very much Team Green.
Are we going to get any more foot business this season?
Sex
God,
sells.
no.
You know. Your Grace.
The hour is late, Lord Larys.
I have found out something you should know.
Do you think that Daemon is the most dependable character on the show because everyone knows not to trust him? Is that fair for me to even say that? I mean,
I think he's more dependable than, to the people that he's dependable to. I know that's questionable at times, but I think he's got his own sort of perverted sense of loyalty, which from the outside seems disloyal, but intrinsically to his own set of rules and thinking and his own moral compass makes complete sense. His brother and his wife and his offspring, that is it. Bloodline and his dragon, everything else is up for grabs.
That whore of a queen murdered my brother and stole his throne, and you could have done more for it.
A war is like to be fought over this treachery, to be sure. But that war is not mine to begin.
I've always had, I feel like she's always had a deep suspicion of Daemon, or at least held him at arm's length. And what is interesting about we had one scene together, but actually what happened was weirdly, a lot of compassion. And suddenly really felt like he was this little boy, and a lot of sympathy and weird kind of connection and empathy. And I think there's something, understanding that thing of being an outsider who's been done wrong to, who hasn't got the position that they actually either have been brought up to or deserve. I sense that there was a deep understanding that Rhaenys very much resonates with that, because it's so similar to her own situation, and how this weird, very complicated and difficult thing of being in a scenario where you're trying to find your own position and find your own value and your own sense of place, and endless sense of injustice, which is there. And so just a lot of, strangely, understanding and compassion.
Fabien, how difficult is it for Criston to balance loyalty to the king and to his lover?
It's a very good question. I don't think he is balancing loyalty. I think that his loyalty is to Alicent, will always be to Alicent. Certainly, obviously, after the fact of episode 5 of season 1. But I think they're very different in his head, because he's known Aegon since he was a kid. And so I just think that the way that he sees Aemond and Aegon is in a completely different light to the way that he sees Alicent. Also, Alicent saved his life, stopped him at his kind of lowest point from doing something that was irreparable. And so to my mind, his loyalties will always be to Alicent, but the tricky thing is he can't really action those loyalties because he doesn't have the power. I mean, he's just not, certainly I don't know how much you've seen, but certainly in the first couple of episodes, he's Lord Commander, he's in charge of the wars, and that's it. Right. And so but in his heart to Alicent.
Throw down your sword and remove your cloak, Sir Criston. I am your Lord Commander, Sir Criston. Cast down your sword.
I will not suffer insults to Her Grace the Queen.
Harry, we see Jace meeting with Cragen Stark at the Wall.
Yeah.
What do they think of each other when they first meet?
It's kind of like this hostileness, really, because Jace is there for a job to do. All he wants is for their support, and he knows that. I think he didn't go there with the main goal like, oh, these two are going to go get on. He's there to get their support, and then he's going to come back. But yeah, no, I think there's respect there. They both know of each other, obviously. But yeah, no, I do think they like each other, and that you can kind of see that relationship on screen as well as I do have with Tom in real life. So it's nice, really.
Can we expect that bond to continue to develop?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can expect what you like.
Yeah.
We were watching the screeners the other night. It was me and my wife, and she was like, "Why don't they just take their money and be happy? Why do they want the throne?" And I was like, "It's more. It's about having
what we deserve."
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, right. So what is rightfully? I mean, is that what it is? It's about what is rightfully yours.
But it is actually rightfully yours.
Yes.
This is my whole point. And I am willing to really go and have a proper debate about this with them.
Yes.
It is ours.
Yes.
And we will stop at nothing, damn it.